In the 100 or so Wildlife on One films that have been shown so far, there have been many that have shown sequences of things that had never been filmed before. But one or two have been even more remarkable. They have contained sequences of events that only one or two scientists had ever even seen before. When Richard Brock and Hugh Miles set out to make a film about the ostrich, scientists were still rather puzzled as to how it was male ostriches often appeared with flocks of young, and quite well-grown young at that, 20 or 30 strong. How could they get together such big flocks? One or two scientists said they had seen it happen. Hugh Miles filmed it. Watch. Imagine you're a chick. You've been trying to break out of the egg for many hours, and at last, your first view of the outside world, your brothers and sisters. And the other eggs, about 40 of them. But where are your parents? And what kind of creatures are they? Yes, you're an ostrich chick, destined to become the world's largest living bird, but a bird that can't fly. Those weird feet and legs will make up for it, though, for you'll be able to run at 70 kilometers an hour. You are, in fact, going to become one of the strangest of all members of the bird world. Today, it's an excellent runner, but the ostrich is descended from ancestors that flew. Fossil remains, 50 million years old, have been found showing that ostriches lived in Asia, Europe, as well as throughout Africa. Now, they're found mainly in East Africa, in various kinds of country, including dry lake beds, and the deserts where they're supposed to bury their heads in the sand. But do they? Well, the private life of this strange, unbird-like bird is full of surprises. Our story starts on the grassy savannah of East Africa, not far from Nairobi. A male in breeding colours feeds enthusiastically, building up the grass into a ball inside that long neck before he swallows it. He's going to need a great deal of strength and energy in the next few months if he's to breed successfully. For about 5 months, he will have to defend the territory, patrolling it, displaying at rival males and driving them away if they're persistent. Competition for land is high, and many males won't get any. Those that fail won't be able to breed. The female, in plain brown, has a large home range which includes the territories of several cockbirds. She's searching for her mate of last season, for ostriches may pair for many years. The cock has now staked out his territory and announces the fact with his queer song. The hen seems quite eager. Her quivering wings are a sure sign of interest. But the cock will have many hens laying in his nest. Yes, it's he who makes it, and he's very selective about who he mates with. Two females have come visiting. This is the cantle display. His head thumps his back in his fervour. This spectacular performance is easily seen by other ostriches, and it stimulates them to begin their courtship. And that's going to be very important. But the beginning of the breeding season is a hit-and-miss time, and she doesn't seem to have been too impressed by all that action. However, she's still interested, her posture tells him so, and he needs no further encouragement. She now becomes his major hen again this year. But they won't remain together all the time. The cock is kept busy mating with many extra hens, the minor hens, who may later lay in his nest. But she is the major hen, she is in charge, and she will herself chase off competing hens. The bond between the pair is now established, and the cock is searching for a nest site in his territory. He selects the spot, and the major hen comes to look. At first, the cock makes a simple scrape with his great claw, which serves as a mark for the hen so she can return later to the exact spot for laying. The raised tail is the sign that an egg is being laid. This major hen has already laid 2 eggs, but minor hens with no permanent mate lay in the nest of an established pair. The major hen doesn't seem to mind, for the extra eggs will help protect hers. If predators take one, there's less chance it'll belong to her. Here, 2 females compete to lay in the same nest. A communal nest may contain as many as 100 eggs. Normally, for these birds, about 10 hens lay a total of about 40 eggs in the one nest. And that's a lot of potential food for vultures that circle patiently during the 6 weeks of the incubation. The chicks have already been calling inside the egg, telling each other and their parents that they'll soon be out. Unlike most birds, ostrich chicks lack an egg tooth for breaking through the thick shell. Instead, they push with their head and neck and their strong legs, slowly rotating within. The parents take turns at the nest. They take full advantage of their colours, the brown camouflage female sitting during the day, the black male at night. But he does most of the work and also sometimes takes a shift during the day. The chicks move aside as he rearranges the hatching eggs. He is very fussy. Because she started to lay first, the major hen has more eggs in the nest than any other hen. It's only possible to cover and incubate about 20, so the rest she pushes out of the nest where they will perish. She incubates her own, but she also has room for some laid by the minor hens. The male has problems with so many hens about, but if he's been energetic enough, most of the eggs he incubates he will have fertilized. Soon the brood will be complete. In the meantime, he dozes. A special membrane cleans the huge eyeballs, but as he gets sleepier, his eyelids close. crows, one of the many threats to ostrich chicks. Though all the chicks survive that attack, some are sure to die soon, even in the nest. By the end of the year, maybe only 15% will be left alive. The chicks peck instinctively within minutes of leaving the shell. It takes them several days, however, to do it effectively. In the meantime, they still have enough egg yolk within them to sustain them for 3 or 4 days. And now it's time to go. The cock takes the lead. Sometimes an experienced pair will hatch all 20 of their incubated eggs, but the average is only half that. The Egyptian vulture hasn't waited in vain. But the problem is how to get into the egg. They're so strong that a man can stand on one without breaking it. The solution is a stone. It seems that just the sight of the egg stimulates the stone-throwing action, first rather vaguely, but then more accurately. The extra eggs pushed outside the nest have served a good purpose. They are often the first eggs to be taken by a predator if the nest is left briefly unguarded. Now, with the sitting parents gone, the predators clean them up. And cheetahs are also interested, though they don't know about throwing stones. Now the chicks from various families scattered across the savannah are out in the wide world. They're learning what and how they should eat from their parents. They pick the best, the greenest leaves, the buds and flowers, the seed and the fruit, unlike wildebeest or zebra, which mow indiscriminately. They travel slowly across the savannah, moving at the speed of the slowest chick. But they can run very fast, if necessary, at about 50 kilometers an hour when they're about a month old. As well as eating a large variety of plants, they take pea-sized pebbles which serve as teeth in their gizzards, grinding their food. And the parched ground of the dry season provides a dust bath for clearing the feathers of parasites. Ostriches sometimes rest or hide with their necks stretched along the ground, giving rise to the story that they bury their heads in the sand. In reality, they react to their problems in a very positive way. Another danger, a martial eagle, quite capable of taking a small antelope and certainly able to make a meal of a young ostrich. The chicks bunch. The eagle understands the adult's threat and stays away, this time. But there are predators everywhere, by day and particularly by night. During the first few weeks when they're so small, the chicks are picked off almost daily by cheetahs, jackals, and even lions. The parents use their huge eyes, the largest incidentally of any land animal, and all their height to keep watch over their chicks. Soon the heavy rainy season starts, and that brings new hazards. Young chicks can die if they get wet and chilled. She knows what to do, and so do the chicks. Ostrich feathers have their uses, mostly for threat and other signals between individual birds, but they're not particularly good protection against rain, for the filaments don't cling together, and the ostrich has no oil gland for waterproofing, like other birds have. Nonetheless, they do have some value as a kind of thatch, and the chicks take full advantage of it. With the rains comes the green grass, especially where the savanna has been burnt in the dry season. The breeding cycle of the ostrich is geared to this, and the synchronized hatchings have produced family groups of almost the same age all over the sprouting landscape. The fresh grass is delectable food, and the land is suddenly thick with all kinds of grazing animals. The ostrich's food ball stays at the top of its throat, slowly being added to until it's finally pushed down the neck by muscular action on its long journey to the stomach. Warthogs get down to it on their knees. The ostrich family meets a herd of eland. There's an atmosphere of calm, warm sun and ample food. But for the ostriches, the stage is now set for a most dramatic event. As the ostrich families come together from their various nests scattered over the savannas, something very remarkable begins to happen. It's called creshing. It starts when an adult escort from one brood comes across in a very determined way to inspect another brood. Then the process is reversed. The adult from this side goes over to check the other's brood. And then there's a row. In spite of their tremendous excitement, the adults don't forget their charges and deftly jump over the frightened, huddled chicks. The dominant parents chase off the subordinate parents, and the chicks remain together. Soon the chicks of the two broods will see each other and run together to form a creche. Together they have a better chance against the army of predators that faces them. But that means that some of the parents must give up their chicks. And now two creches merge into one huge flock. The chicks here are of different sizes because some hatched a week or so earlier than the others. The forsaken adults have no more parental responsibilities. Their families are now in the sole charge of one dominant adult. Ostrich young grow at a prodigious rate. At 9 months, they're almost as big and fully as fast as their parents. Many, perhaps most of those hatched have been killed already, but the survivors are now quite capable and are on their own. After a bath, they preen. These are the real survivors, the total production from, say, 60 square kilometers. They operate as a single entity, 60 pairs of eyes on the lookout for predators, a most valuable defense in a hostile environment. They're now large enough to be challenged by an adult cock who's staking out his territory for the next season. He's already coming into his red breeding color. He's feeding up for another busy season. For once again, he will have to fight to get and keep a territory. Many males won't make the grade. Those that do will get many hens, but so many eggs that they can't all be incubated. But by putting their eggs and later their chicks together, the dominant ostriches have found a way of ensuring that the maximum number of their own particular chicks, so small and flightless and vulnerable, will survive in the dangerous world of the open African plains.
And next week, by contrast, The Body Snatchers, a real-life drama starring literally thousands of Amazonian ants. That's next week's Wildlife 100 on BBC One.